interesting, Phil, to see if that had any effect on the champion, Don Wilson.
I wouldn't think 1 pound would, particularly as long as Wilson's been fighting. Boy, look at the chiseled physique of Carmichael. Oh, my. Carmichael, a police officer outside Miami, Florida, near Fort Lauderdale, a suburb called Sunrise, Florida. I'd say he's given away about 5 inches in height to Don Wilson.
Here you have the champion, Don Wilson, trying to establish that left leg so that he can set something else up. He normally fights out of a southpaw stance, and then every so often he'll switch to a regular fighting stance.
Don Wilson trying to mix a motion picture career with his kickboxing career. And I know, Blinky, you know a lot of fighters who have tried that very thing, and at some point it appears something has to suffer unless you're an extraordinary individual.
Well, Don Wilson has been successful at doing both at this point of his life. I know other fighters that have tried to concentrate on doing movies, and because of that have lacked the concentration on their fighting career and have gotten knocked out.
Don Wilson, fighter on the left. He is the light heavyweight champion of the world and has had that title for over 10 years.
Maybe it's because it's the first round and Ghalib Carmichael is just kind of getting the feel for the ring, but I'm expecting him to put a lot more pressure and get inside of the champion and force the fight.
There's the end of round 1 as we watch Fred Coratoni of New York working the corner of Ghalib Carmichael.
Here we have Don Wilson throwing a left round kick up high to the head of Carmichael and coming back with a stiff jab. Then he hops at him with a right leg, still looking to find distance, I would say.
There is the world champion, and working his corner tonight, Chris Penn, the younger brother of Sean Penn, and also in Don's corner tonight, Charlie Constantino and Jeff Mulvin. A rather uneventful first round, but make no mistake about it, if you have watched Don Wilson over the years, you know that is simply a warm-up for what we're about to see. Wilson, certainly one of the busier light heavyweights over the years.
I would have to agree with you there, Phil. Don Wilson with a record of 68-5-2. You're talking about 75 professional fights.
Yeah, 48 of them have ended in knockout.
Yes, they have, and it's not that Don Wilson has that overpowering type of punch or kick, but he wears you down, he sets it up, and once he hurts you, he is a finisher.
That's a good point, Blinky. You know, I often thought that Don Wilson wins as many fights with his head as he does with his fists and legs.
Yes, he does. It was a well-experienced champion. He's held the title over 10 years, and right there you seen him drive a nice side kick right into the upper body of Ghalib Carmichael.
Coming to the end now of round 2. Again, both Carmichael and Wilson feeling one another out here in the early going.
You know, Carmichael, Phil, is not as aggressive as I expected him to be. You know, at this point of the fight, he's allowing the champion, Don Wilson, to do pretty much what he wants.
Boy, Carmichael not providing much of a target. He's compact, he's squat, a la Mike Tyson. Not a lot of target there. Final 5 seconds now of the second round. Gabe Carmichael moving around the ring rather nicely, as Blinky mentioned, not firing much of anything, while that man, Don Wilson, content pretty much to warm up at his own pace.
And that's a Don Wilson fight. Don Wilson doesn't come out and just start flailing. He sets things up. Like right there with a side kick. He'll come at you to the body, he'll come at you to the head. And here he comes over the top with the left hand and misses. Carmichael also misses with the left, the right hand.
You hear Fred Corratoni of New York saying tap, tap, and move. Tell you, if he's going to tap, tap, and move, he better bring a bat to do the tapping.
Yeah, and it better be a tap, tap, tapping, too.
Action now in round 3 from the Celebrity Theater in Anaheim, California. I'm Phil Stone along with Blinky Rodriguez. Don Wilson in the blue with red and white piping against Gabe Carmichael, the cop from South Florida.
Both fighters looking like they're willing to mix it up a little bit more this round, Phil.
Used to be a time when Don Wilson would fight, you know, at least once every couple of months, usually once a month, Blinky. Not so anymore because of his heavy filming schedule. He says he's lucky to get in the ring 2 or 3 times a year now.
Yes, that's true. Carmichael trying to get busy. He's got to really get real busy on the inside. You see him holding on with the left hand, and he should be letting that hand fly, not holding on. Good right leg kick by Don Wilson, turned into a regular fighting stance.
Watch Carmichael when he delivers his punches, seems to be short-arming everything. Really not extending and twisting that glove. There's one of the few times leading with that left jab.
All right, hold up.
Nice right thigh kick by the champion Don Wilson. Set it up with a left kick up high that didn't land and came right back with a right leg. Nice short right hand by the champion Don Wilson.
Uppercut lands on the chin of Carmichael, not a lot behind it.
You know, I don't understand this audience here tonight, Phil. You hear them booing. This was probably the fastest paced round of the night here, and the champion comes back to his corner to some booing. Right hand landed there by Carmichael on off the head of the champion Don Wilson.
Don Wilson, as he gets set now for round 4. You know, in looking up and watching Gabe Carmichael's corner, Blinky, I'm not so certain something isn't wrong with his right hand or right wrist.
Well, I know for sure. I distinctly heard his corner man say, "What's wrong? Does your nose hurt you?"
Well, that's a ways from the wrist.
Quite a ways.
That's Carmichael in the black trunks. And now they're going to trim some of the tape away from Gabe's right glove. So they were doing some work on that right hand or right glove, and now they're going to cut it away.
Well, you did sense there was something wrong there, Phil. Let's face it.
Well, I thought I overheard his corner talking about that right hand or right glove, but I don't think Wilson thinks anything's wrong. He's just going to come out and go about business as usual here in round 4. This bout scheduled for 11, and it's for the WKA World Light Heavyweight title.
And that's what Dragon Wilson has to do. He has to use that front leg to set up the right hand, or also come back with another left leg to the head.
You suppose that World Championship belt that Don Wilson first put around him 10 years ago is the same belt that still fits him today?
I would say so.
How many of us can say that?
I'll tell you, he has stood in extraordinary shape. I've watched him through the years. He comes into our gym, the Jet Center, to get ready for his fights, and I never see him go 5 pounds over his weight.
Wilson on the right. He's the champion. There's an overhand right that again is short-armed by Carmichael. Boy, if he could extend that, it would have landed flush on Wilson's right jaw.
That was an interesting technique. He missed with a right leg sweep and countered with a crossover heel thrust kick.
Carmichael, good body shot to the stomach of Wilson. Final 10 seconds here in round 4.
Champion fighting from a regular fighting stance now.
Now there is Don Wilson. Now I asked him what his worst nightmare was. He said the IRS.
Or a divorce.
Join the club. And there is Carmichael. Through 4 rounds, I'll tell you what, he knows he's in against a very, very worthy opponent. In this case, the world light heavyweight champion.
Good series of punches landed by the champion there.
Well, look at Wilson breathing rather deeply through his mouth. And we've only gone 4 rounds as he gets set down for round 5. Well, through 4, Blinky, how do you have it scored unofficially?
With no question, unofficially, I have the champion Don Wilson winning the fight, all 4 rounds. Unless Carmichael begins to take the offense to the champion as he's doing now. There's no way he's going to take the title home to Florida unless he can apply this kind of pressure to the champion Don Wilson.
Boy, he has certainly changed his tactics here in round 5. Carmichael trying to load up with that right hand. And Blakey, look at the mouth of Don Wilson. It is wide open, and that is not a good sign, is it?
No, it's not, Phil. I'll tell you, we've been talking about the fact that he's an actor and he's a fighter. And, I know that he's always been able to separate the one from the other, but also in talking to his actual trainer who was sick tonight, not in the corner, Pat Goosen, he gets frustrated sometimes when the champion Don Wilson lately has missed a couple of days.
Now you open that mouth, start breathing from the mouth. It is, more often than not, a sign of fatigue, a sign of impending exhaustion.
But also, I think Don Wilson's wearing a black mouthpiece, so it even gives it more of an illusion of it being wide open, Phil.
Good point, Link. Good straight right hand by Wilson. Winding down here, action in round 5. There is the champion, Carmichael. Chris Penn leaning in there on the left. And Gabe Carmichael. I'll tell you what, he certainly doesn't look like he can make it another 5 rounds. This one is scheduled to go 11.
know, Carmichael here, you see him, it's at the beginning of the round, and he comes out with an intensity, a ferocity, like he wants to take the championship. But as we got towards the back end of the round, he just started pulling back out and lost that intensity, Phil.
Now through 5 unofficially, Blinky, I've got it Wilson 3-1 and 1 even. That pretty much match what you've got?
Yes, it does, Phil.
Now we're set to go round 6. Blinky, if you were Ghalib Carmichael's corner man, what would your advice be now that we've reached the middle rounds?
Pick up the pace, Gabe. Pick up the pace. We're here, we're in Southern California, we're a long ways from home, and you're going to have to really do something special to take that title back.
And that's exactly what a challenger has to do. It has to happen in a convincing manner. As you mentioned, Blinky, you have to take the belt away. That's where Carmichael had Wilson before. This time, Don refusing to lay on those ropes.
Let it go, Don. Let it go. Trying to hook kick with the lead leg there. The champion, Don Wilson.
Kick, Jamie, kick. Gotta work, Gabe. I tell you no more. Come on. Give me,
You know, you look at the champion, Don Wilson, you see him just continually throwing a variety of techniques, not looking to unload, not looking to overpower Ghalib Carmichael. And any good trainer, Phil, would want his fighter to fight exactly like this, because when you're looking for the big punch, you leave yourself wide open, and on top of that, you're just not using the technique properly. The KO is always a bonus to a trainer, Phil.
That's a good point.
It's a bonus. You know, the name of the game is win.
Neither Carmichael nor the world champion have been down. Neither has even been as much as being stunned.
Although I noticed the champion's going to the legs and to the body more towards the end of this round, Phil.
Final seconds of round 6. Don Wilson in the 6th round appeared to get a second win, while Carmichael still, I think, a bit befuddled by the speed and elusiveness of Wilson.
Listen, here we got that left leg working, and although it lands on the arm of Carmichael, it knocks him back.
Got that Michael Tyson hairstyle, doesn't he?
Sure does. I bet he wishes he had that Michael Tyson punching power.
Or checkbook. And there is Don Wilson, who has certainly cashed a lot of checks in his life. I go back to 1987. He fought a Yugoslav fighter by the name of Branimir Sikitic. And at the time, it was the highest paid kickboxing match. $60,000 went to the winner. And the winner was Don Wilson.
You know, Sikitic was a highly touted fighter coming in from Europe. Undefeated with, I think, every fight won by KO. And Don Wilson definitely ended that for him.
We're set to go. It is round 7 from the Celebrity Theater in Anaheim, California. Don Wilson, the world light heavyweight champion, on the left. And trying to wrestle that title away and take it home to Florida is Ghalib Carmichael.
You know, Don Wilson originally is, if I'm not mistaken, from Cocoa Beach, Florida.
You're absolutely
right. So you got
right.
two Floridians here.
Now the boos start to come out here, and I'm not sure why.
You know, the fight fans are funny. Many times, you know, in the course of an evening, they see some KOs and they get spoiled. And that's all they want to see is get KOs and see KOs. And what happens is they don't look at the art of what's going on, the technique. the technicians that are in the ring.
And again, Carmichael goes to work here in round 7. But the one thing you can't do against the world champion, you've got things working, you've got the combinations landing, and for some inexplicable reason, he simply backed away.
Yes. Yes, he's not able to balance the intensity in his fight tonight, Phil. He's like, he'll come out in a splurge, and then all of a sudden he'll just try to lull you to sleep for some reason. And he's not going to win the championship of the world by fighting that kind of fight against this smart of a champion.
Inside 10 seconds now here in the 7th round. This is scheduled for 11. Carmichael. He had it going again here in round 7, delivering combinations. He had Wilson backpedaling and then simply stepped away.
Yes, he did. There's a long right hand. Wilson comes right back with a counter right uppercut, doubles up on it, and rips a nice left shot to the body. You know, through the night, we haven't talked a lot about that, but Wilson has constantly been in the body of Carmichael. And I'm not sure, Phil, but I'm wondering if Charlie Constantino there is not working on a cut over the left thigh of Don Wilson.
Well, certainly, if not a cut over the eye, it's a bit of swelling, and that is something his corner will certainly keep an eye on. Round 8 for the world light heavyweight title.
Here you got the challenger, Phil, backpedaling, allowing the champion to take it to him. Has to know that he's behind on the fight, but nevertheless cannot conjure up the intensity that he had a few traces of earlier in the fight.
And unofficially, I have it 4 rounds Wilson, 2 even, and 1 to Carmichael.
I differ with 1 round. I got 5 rounds Wilson, 1 Carmichael, 1 even. Unofficially, of course, Mr. Stone.
Yep, neither of us are scoring. Good counter punch off the ropes on the part of Carmichael, but Wilson comes right back around and takes the offensive. Here you see Wilson going back to the southpaw stance, something he does throughout a fight and throughout his career. He's really been a switch hitter.
Yes, he has, and you know, many times it's confused his opponents, all the challengers that have tried to fight him for the title. Obviously, he's still the champ for some reason.
When he adopts the southpaw stance, Blinky, it freezes Carmichael.
Yes, it does, and at this point, one time, Wilson, what he did was he just stepped up and hit him with a front right leg, I should say, sweep to the thigh, and then you see Carmichael where he just throw a series of punches like there again and then just pull out.
Now Wilson back to the orthodox right-hand stance, and that is when the challenger seems to come alive. Eight rounds down, 3 to go.
You have that side kick. He's been hopping with the first one and coming back with the second one to the head. Here he threw the champion being through a right leg, and Carmichael coming back with a right hand of his own.
Wilson does not appear to have his overpowering stuff tonight, Blinky, but that has always been the mark of a champion in any sport. You may not have your best weapon as an ally, but if you've got enough to get by, that's usually what makes a champion just that.
Well, like Al Davis of the Los Angeles Raiders says, just win, baby.
That's right. This is round 9.
Kind of see the champion, Don Wilson, coming out this round. He looks a little hungry. He looks like he wants to mix it up and make something happen, Phil. Attempted spinning back fist and miss.
Now watch Carmichael. When Wilson is in the right-hand stance is when Carmichael goes to work. And there he's going again.
But not landing nothing, just missing and hitting off the gloves of the champion. The champion is sitting down more on his punches now, Phil. He's not moving around as much. There's a good, powerful right leg to the body. Seems to be willing to stay in there, mix it up more with the upper body attack. Good body attack by the champion. Right leg to the head and then right back down to the thigh of Ghalib Carmichael.
Carmichael is down here in round 9.
Right uppercut, Phil. Caught him right up under the chin. But there was a right leg to the thigh that also backed him up before that.
Wilson trying to end it here in the 9th round. But Carmichael refuses to say no. Final seconds now of this round.
3 consecutive right hands to Ghalib Carmichael.
Somehow, some way, a 31-year-old from Sunrise, Florida, Ghalib Carmichael, weathered that storm as Wilson threw everything, including the sink at him.
Yes, he did. And I'll tell you, you can see it right from the beginning. Here he throws the right uppercut. It was a nice short right uppercut that went right in between the gloves of Ghalib Carmichael. Here we have it again. The champion coming to the body and then right up the middle there with the right uppercut.
Is the most devastating punch in a boxer or kickboxer's arsenal.
Yes, it is, because it's a sharp punch, and it can either hit you under the chin, under the nose, or right up under the eye. But you can see the champion came out with more conviction that round.
We've got 9 in the books and 2 to go here from Anaheim, California. 11 rounds for the light heavyweight championship of the world. Wilson has really begun to stretch out his lead in this fight. Carmichael had a good exchange in the 2nd round and another in round 6. But for the rest of this fight, he has pretty much been content, Blinky, to play the role of the challenger.
Yes, he has. He doesn't look like the type of fighter that has come to win the title tonight, Phil. He looks like the type of fighter that has come merely to survive a fight with the champion. He's just not showing that hunger, that aggressiveness, Phil, that it takes to win the championship.
Yeah, that's a good point, Blinky. He has really not been aggressive at all. And at any weight level in boxing or kickboxing, anybody will tell you, you have to be aggressive, if nothing else, when you're a challenger. Don the Dragon Wilson in the blue with white piping. 68 wins, 5 losses, and 2 draws. Abe Carmichael, he has won 12 professional fights, all 12 victories by knockout. Carmichael, the challenger. He has 1 round round left as we get set for the final 2 minutes of this World Championship fight. While for Don Wilson, now applying Vaseline above both eyes of the champion.
I guess that corner man is just a little bit upset, Phil.
As somebody once said, that's telling it like it is.
Hello.
Now the point is well taken. Carmichael has one thing left to do, and that's knock out the champion.
Here's
If he
the
is
front
to
kick
take home the
again.
belt.
Front kick of the champion just landing to the head of Gabe Carmichael.
This is the 11th and final round for the light heavyweight championship of the world. Gabe Carmichael in the black. The world champion is Don Wilson. Now, unless Carmichael can do the unthinkable and knock out the reigning champion, this will be a rather lopsided victory for Don Wilson.
And instead of Gabe Carmichael being the aggressor here, Phil, we find the champion taking it to the contender.
Boy, Wilson somehow appears to have gotten stronger in rounds 9, 10, and here in the 11th and final round. Good short chopping right hand. Don Wilson doing what he has done so many times over his 10-plus year reign as the light heavyweight champion of the world. And that is swarm an opponent. The final 5 seconds of this fight. And that's it. Carmichael, sheer exhaustion. Likewise, Wilson. Boy, you wonder if either fighter could have gone a 12th round.
I don't know. The champion, Don Wilson, was sure letting it all hang out there in the last round. But Gabe Carmichael, although, you know, granted he's a fighter, he probably trained the hardest he's ever trained for a fight in his life, to come in and win the light heavyweight title. Just tonight didn't seem to have it, Phil.
Well, he went down in the middle rounds once. It came in the corner when Wilson caught him with a right uppercut and caught him flush. Other than that, neither fighter in any serious trouble. Well, don't go away. We're coming back for the decision in a moment. Jerry Lennon Jr.
Cecil Peoples scores tonight 109 to 100. David Menefee and Howard Sisman agree, scoring tonight 108 to 100 in favor of the winner, and still the WKA World Light Heavyweight Champion, Don the Dragon Wilson.
Absolutely no question whatsoever. An overwhelming victory for the light heavyweight champion of the world, Don the Dragon Wilson, as he extends his record to 69 wins, 5 losses, and 2 draws, while Gabe Carmichael goes to 12-3. Well, it appears in looking at Don Wilson as if perhaps he does have a cut over that eye, and standing by with him right now is my sidekick, Blinky Rodriguez. Blinky?
Well, what I noticed right away from you is that, you came out and you showed that ring generalship, the experience that you've always had. You're elusive. You come out and sometimes, people get the understanding that you're kind of pitter-patting, but you're always looking to set them up for something big and hard.
Yeah, that's right. I think you used to call me the rabbit, didn't you? I don't know about that. Anyway, but tonight I've never been cut before, and that posed a psychological problem because I was wondering if it would open up on a jab or something if the fight would be stopped. So I kind of dropped off as far as being aggressive in the later rounds because it was cut. Never had a cut in 17 years.
Well, I'll tell you, 17 years. That's a good one to go with. 17 years. How much longer, Don?
Well, Foreman is my mentor, so I'll let that speak for itself.
Okay. We have a first here tonight. Don the Dragon Wilson, after 17 years, cut for his first time. Back to you.
Now